Hey everybody. So today we're going to talk about some of the Twitter and Instagram analytics. So I know that it was kind of a tough time getting access to these because we weren't able to use the actual tools. Instagram is particularly difficult to get access to, and the only way you can do that is by connecting it to a business account and then viewing that data through Facebook. And this was not already set up with the United Way, so we decided just to export some of the data and then we'll look at it in a little bit of a different way, but all the information is still here. And so this is the Twitter data specifically because we were having similar issues. But I was going to go through a couple of the different reports. And so this is a media trend or a media type trend report. So it's going to show you the segment. Ignore this first column here. But the date and time will give you the date and then the time roughly that this was created. So you can see that segment types. This is the most important part here. So it's tweets and mentions, tweets and mentions, tweets and mentions. I'm not seeing a lot of things like video or photos or information on that. It's really just tweets and photos. So we can kind of assume from this that the United Way is tweeting, and that's really it. So they had 2 tweets on this day, they had 4 mentions on this day. And so with this information, we can kind of go back and look at the Twitter itself based on this date. I realize that this is for, we have, a couple of days in March here and then a couple of days in February, about a month of data here. And going back and cross-referencing this information to see how it lines up. That'll be a helpful understanding of, you can look at the retweets and the likes and the replies and everything on the Twitter itself or on the tweet itself, and then you can compare to see how many times they tweeted that day or that week for that matter, and to see how that is affecting their Twitter. So then if we go to the follower trend, this is something similar. So I would ignore this second column here, but this segment count column is showing you the number of followers they have. And so if we look at it, it's something interesting happens. They had, about 1,029, and then they had about 1,032 on this date, and then they started dropping. They lost followers and gained a couple back. So, maybe doing some research to understand why they gained and why they lost followers would be helpful. Maybe there was a campaign that was going on that was affecting the interest in the United Way, and that can be used in the final reports. And then finally, the published engagement. This one's really interesting. It's going to show you can ignore this one here. This is just the name of the account, so the United Way, and then details about that. But it shows us the posts, the retweets, the replies, any favorites they received, any link clicks they received, and any engagement they received. So the reason this is important is we can use this data to cross-reference with the media type trend data and make some assessments. So let's do that really quick. So on March 8th, 2021, they had 2 posts and they had 2 engagements. So let's look at the media type trend and look for March 8th, 2021. So it looks like I am on the older one. So I'm going to open up the newer media type trend. There's a couple of files in here, so you might have to dig around a little bit. March 8th. So there, right here, is the tweet we were talking about. So they had 2 tweets, 2 posts right there. So some similar information presented in different ways with some confusing information up top for sure. I understand that's kind of hard to read sometimes. But this published engagement document is going to be really, really helpful because what we can do is we can compare how many posts they're having to their total engagement rate over time. So for example, they had 2 posts on this day and they had 2 engagements. So 1 per post we could assume, or maybe 2 for 1 post and 0 for another. Alternatively, they had 1 post on this day on the 4th, but they had two pieces of engagement. So they had, and specifically, they were two favorites. So two people favorited that tweet. We can think about this too. So two people, they had two engagements on this day with one favorite, but it's not showing us what the other piece of engagement is. So it may be worth looking at this tweet specifically, trying to find it, and seeing where that other piece of engagement could be. Maybe it's something that's just not listed in this dashboard. And so those are kind of the three main things that I want us to look at when it comes to Twitter. And I know that it's kind of, overbearing, and there's a lot of information here, and it's confusing, lots of zeros and ones. It looks like binary almost. But if you can, just take the time to go through this, make some, you can even make some calculations on the side here, create some graphs and charts, and, compare what all of these are for, So if you have, like, this would be a 50% engagement rate, or sorry, 150% engagement rate, because there's more engagement than there are posts. So just kind of think about that, and take your time in going through it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. I know that there are some additional reports here, things like sentiment and follower trend, where you look at follower trends, but post volume. These are kind of sticky to read because we don't have access to some of the Twitter information. And there are better tools for sentiment analysis. And I'm hoping that we can do some sentiment analysis before the end of the semester. So probably after report 2, but it should be something that you could add to the final report in the end. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'd be more than happy to help. Thank you so much.